So you're in Fox Business School.
Yeah.
What compelled you to go to college in the first place?
All right. So I'm going to rewind from 1996 back to, let's see, I was born in 78. I'm going to take it to 1984, 85.
George Orwell.
Yeah. Nuts. Okay, so I've always been a sales guy, right? So I have a background in sales. My family, my mother owned her own business. She had a collectible store. She sold giftware and things like that. Retired very early. My father was a builder, so that was cool, right? You know, we taught me a lot about that type of stuff. So, but sales it's always been a part of my life, right? So my first job, my mother had her first store was in a shopping center right in Bristol, right around the corner. So right next to my mother's store was a little West Coast Video. Remember those West Coast Video stores where you can go, right? I know you're a little younger than me, so I make sure that you know.
I've read a history book.
And they had, so West Coast Video had, you know those crane machines that they have down the shore where you grab stuff down and things like that? Yep.
And it moved.
Exactly.
Oh.
So I used to go over there. I used to put a quarter in, play the games, go back to my mother. Mom, can I get another $1? Play some more games. And I found that I was pretty good at this, right? I'm winning all these stuffed animals. And then I'm like, I got all these stuffed animals. What do I do with them? I mean, I have no use for them. I don't want stuffed animals. I mean, I was only, at that time, I was 7, 8 years old, but I had a bunch of these stuffed animals. And my mother had a gift shop. And I'm not going to sell my little crappy stuffed animals in her beautiful gift shop, but I was in this shopping center with a captive audience.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sell these things.
Wow.
Right. So I used to walk around from store to store. Hey, check these out. Start showing them what I had. Who would give me $1? Who would give me $2? And I'd reinvest that into the business.
Wow. So you got them in this machine, and then you would sell them.
And I would sell them. And I would get my money. And I'm like, all right, at the end of the day, it cost me, let's say, $3 to win these things. At the end of the day, I might have $20 that I've won. And I've reinvested. I put a little money aside, right? And I put, $5 back into the machine. And I'd start winning more things. And so I got to the point that I'm like, wait a minute. There's a guy that fills these machines up. I got to find out when he comes in. I got to get him into this whole business of mine, right? So on Tuesdays, the guy was there, and this is the summertime. I'm off from school. And I see the guy, and I say, listen, I got this little business here where I'm selling these stuffed animals. And, can I buy some off of you at a discount, or what can I do? He's like, I can't do that, buddy. I'm just filling these machines up. So
you're 8?
Yeah, 7, 8 years old, right? So I'm trying to hustle this guy, right? So that's what I did, and we got to know each other, and he got to the point that I don't know if he felt bad for me, but he would just kind of place these stuffed animals in certain positions. Well, I mean, this started to be a pretty lucrative business. I'm making $50, $60 a day. Around Valentine's Day, I was hiring little kids in the neighborhood to start helping me sell these things. So that was my first sales job, and I did pretty well with it. Right? I did well. So that being the first sales job, fast forward, I did the retail thing for a while. I worked at Radio Shack. I don't know if you remember that.
Was this like a teen job?
It was a teen job.
Teen job at Radio
first
Shack?
Job. Yeah, after you did the whole washing the dishes and you step up and have a real job. That was my first real job. At 15, I started working retail, and I did
sales, the stereo radio section kind of thing?
Okay. Exactly. So did that. Honestly, I did that from 15 up until I was 23. So I did that working my way through Fox School of Business, right? And that taught me a lot, learned a lot.
Was there a specific niche of business? Because there's so much there, right? It's a very general degree. It was like international business. Like, what was your focus at the time? Marketing.
Yeah.
Getting attention.
Yeah, that's it. So, which goes against everything I believe, because as outgoing as we are, you can stand in front of a group of 500 people and talk.
Or cry
like you did last week. That was very touching, by the way. Good stuff, brother.
Just being real.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm not that guy, and I'm learning to be, but I have this phobia of speaking in front of people, and I think that was kind of my way of conquering that. So I'm like, if I get a marketing degree, I need to stand in front of people every day and do this type of stuff.
Did you have to do that in school?
Oh yeah, I mean presentations every day, and I was sick to my stomach every day that I had to do it, but it was something that I had to overcome. And I think I'm there at this point. I'm not, maybe not as large of an audience as you have hosted in front of, but 20, 30 people, 50 maybe.
Yeah. You have an engaging personality, like a very strong persona. Was that developed? It's like I struggled really hard with being extroverted growing up. Like I was very introverted, shy. Was that something that you were in high school, a little shyer, and then you overcame that in college? Or was it...
I don't know that I was shy per
Certain
se.
settings?
I was always shy in groups, right? So, and when I say groups, if I'm in a group of 3 or 4 or 5 people, I'm okay. Once we get into a larger group, like even like in elementary school when you had to read in front of the classroom, never. I was sick. But within my group of peers, a half a dozen people, I was always okay. Beyond that, it was something I had to deal with.
You're bringing me flashbacks.
It was a struggle. Right? Don't start crying again, bro. Don't start crying again with me. So,
first grade.
Yeah.
Show and tell. I had a zipper. I didn't know what I could show and tell. I had a zipper my jacket. That was my
I thought you were showing
and
and telling something else. I'm like, well, wonder why you're single, right?
That's different culture. The best ever.
Yeah.
And I remember I was so nervous. I couldn't zipper it.
Yeah.
So I just started crying.
Stop. I'm going to get upset.
And
I have 4 little ones, man. I know. I battle with that.
And I never wanted to public speak again.
Yeah.
So just think of that, right?
Yeah, that's
like
that's
how
rough.
life works.
Yeah.
So you were in college.
Yeah.
And let's just say you were in college and you're studying marketing.
Yeah.
You're giving these presentations. Did you know at that time that you'd end up in real estate? Was that ever even a thought?
No, it wasn't even an issue. Real estate just came about. Thankfully, I've been blessed. I've been pretty lucky and fortunate. We've grown pretty quickly in this business, but I haven't been in the business that long. So, from college, going back to that whole Radio Shack thing, right? So I was working there through college, graduated college, did the bartending thing on the side to make some extra money, and had a couple other small businesses along the way, and but always kept that just mainly for the benefits, right? It was just it was nice to have, and they had offered me a management position, and I took it.
Okay.
And I was traveling around North Jersey, living in Lower Bucks County. And I found myself, I was doing well. I was 23, 24 years old, making good money.
Full-time job managing.
Full-time job managing.
Were you working at night too?
A lot of times I was. I had a DJing company. Well, bartending, I had a DJing company. I'm like yourself, right? We have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
right.
Wow.
But the biggest
I
thing,
was a bouncer.
yeah, for me, it was tough because I'm putting in 60, 70 hours a week, commuting 2 hours each way. So I'm doing the math and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm working 100 hours a week. If I divide that by the 80 grand a year that I was making at the time, I'm making about $4 an hour. So it didn't make sense for me financially. And then at that point, I opened my first business.
Okay.
I opened a tanning salon. Okay, it's called Espresso Tan. Good business, right?
Espresso Tan.
Espresso Tan was a combination tanning salon, coffee bar, which was interesting, right? So they're counter seasonal. So when the tanning would slow down, the coffee would pick up, and we did that for a while. I had that going. I had my first location in Bensalem, opened up other ones in the city.
2002, 3?
2003, I opened my first, and my last, I closed. I sold off everything, and the last one that I closed was probably about 5 years ago at this point, 4 or 5 years ago. So
this was a tanning boom in the early 2000s.
And I rode that wave.
Was it a who or a what? Like, was it a mentor, or you just saw something coming? You were like, hey, I need to put my time in tanning businesses.
I get my nails done. I like to tan. I do all that stuff. So I'm like, why not invest in something that I believe in? And I thought it was pretty cool, right? And at that time, there was, a lot of things that went through my mind. One is, my parents were both self-employed, so I knew I wanted to do it on my own. And I really did learn how to run a business through that retail chain. They helped me out. And I'm like, well, why spend all that time and money and not reap the benefits? So that's why I decided to work for myself.
Okay.
And I did I opened up the tanning business because I felt that it was a business that's easily duplicated. Okay. And it's something that we could do and not necessarily need to be present, right? So it's something that if I wanted to franchise and go that route, I could do that because everything was tracked. There's no, my mother's store might have had $500,000 in inventory at any given time. If she walked out to go, grab a soda, she could be wiped clean. Whereas the tanning business, it's not the same. You're not walking out with a tanning bag.
Yeah, there's like no inventory.
No inventory, right. So from that standpoint, I liked it, and it was easy to duplicate, and everything was kind of calculated and very easy to put systems in place, which you would need to do to franchise. So that's what that was my intention originally, and I rode that wave, and we opened up other locations, but it wasn't because of all the government regulations and things that have changed, and people realized that tanning was not so good for you, which we didn't know in the past. It got tough, right? So towards the end, I knew that I had to transition out of it. My wife's home; she's not working. We have 4 little ones, and the bills have to be paid. So I was really doing some soul searching, trying to figure out where I wanted to go. Having a sales background you can pretty much do anything, fortunately, in a marketing background.
Yeah.
But I knew I wasn't the corporate guy. I'm not that guy.
It wasn't necessarily in your blood or in your mind to go corporate.
I'm all about reap what you sow, right? So, and that's just my
What gave you the courage, I guess, or the humility to, if you want to call it that, to let go of a business that was so successful, being that the industry was changing and there's not much you could do about it. Sure. What gave you that to say, hey, I'm going to put my chips in it and move on?
Sure.
Because that seems like a rare quality.
It's, for me...
Because you didn't hit rock bottom.
No, not at all. No, I sold
so many do hit rock, right?
Yeah.
They want to keep it.
Instead of a salesman, you want to ride that wave. You're great, right? So, you need to know when to get out and move to the next thing, right? So when I was working the Radio Shack thing, and I'm like, well, I need to transition out of this. I left a job making lots of money, signed a 10-year lease, spent my life savings, borrowed money off of my parents, and rolled the dice, and was successful, thankfully. And you just need to know when to get out, right? Wow. So I got to the point where I saw the decline. I sold off the existing businesses. I had one left in South Philadelphia, and I started selling real estate. And this actually was a conversation I had with my mother, and she's like, what are you going to do in the next couple of years? I'm like, nothing. I'm kind of hanging out at the salon. Everything's paid for. I'm not making a ton of money. But she's like, yeah, but that's not you. You need to do something else. I'm like, you're right. I need to focus on something else. And at that time, we were in the real estate boom. Everything was just, people were buying and selling houses left and right. The economy
2010?
Yeah, 11? Yeah, right around there. Yeah, 11-ish. So, maybe 2012. So I saw that. It was great times. And I said, you know what? It's a $500 investment. My mother's like, listen, I'll give you the $500 to get your license. I'm like, okay, if you really want to. So she really twisted. I mean, it wasn't a twist of my arm, but she told me to do it. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? I'll make my mother happy, and I'll get my real estate license. I can hang it somewhere. At that point, we had a couple of investment properties. So I said, it'll be good to just even access the MLS.
Yeah.
Right? So,
worth it.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? And I can save on commissions when I sell my houses, or if I buy anything, gives me access to what I need to see to find these opportunities.
August 2012?
That's exactly what it was, because the tanning...
I'm obviously a mind reader.
Yeah, you really are. You did a little bit of research, didn't you? Yeah. So that's what I did. I got my license and jumped on board with Every Home. Okay, my friend Tamir Kuznitz's wife, Jen Kuznitz, works with Every Home. She's an agent over there. Okay. And he said, why don't you jump on board with this company? I'm like, well, I think I need to go with a name. Somebody has a presence. Every Home. What's Every Home? Yeah, there's multiple companies out there, and once you get your license, and anybody that gets their license will realize that as soon as you get your license, you're gonna have 1,000 people calling you and trying to, recruit you. And I'm like, I don't know. I think I should go with one of these big box companies. And I met with the owners of Every Home, Katie, who you met, who's amazing. I love her dearly, and Paul, who's just
their culture is aligned. That's a whole nother
beautiful people. I love them dearly, and that's honestly.
So does everyone in
pretty much
the company.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than you talk about a culture,
right?
Very
powerful.
Yeah, right. So there's a lot of love going on. There's no competition. We really care about each other. So I met with Katie, and I knew right away. Taking all of the other stuff, putting all the other stuff aside, the commission structure is fantastic, and this isn't the sales pitch of Every Home, but it's just great, everything about it. And I fell in love with the company. And we jumped on board. They supported me, and I came in at a great time.
And it's interesting because you had so much business experience, starting at 8 years old.
Yeah. Selling stuff.
Reminded me of Gary Vaynerchuk, ripping flowers out of people's yards and selling it back to them. Yeah. He had like 9 lemonade stands. You reminded me of VRV. Yeah, we were talking about that last week. We have so much energy. Yeah. So you had all of that business, experience and mindset. Would you say you could tell at any point, like, is this not really for me? Is this for me? But you chose Every Home at that time, and you've been with that ever since. What was the first month like in real estate? Because listings, buyers.
Day,
okay, let's do the first day, right? First 24 hours.
So I sign on board with Every Home, and I'm sitting at home, and we have this kind of system in our back office that if you're available, you need to, there's a way to categorize the time that you're available, when you're not available, and so on. And I happen to be available because I'm always available. I mean, I have my salon, but I always made myself available, and that's key in this business, right? You have to be. And I think that, my past customers and anyone that, any customers that have been that are loyal to their agent, because this is the business that we're in. It's availability. You can't this is not a 9-to-5 job, right?
Yeah, of course.
So anyway, I get a call from Katie, and she's like, hey, I got a lead for you. I'm going to sell a house today, right? So I said, okay, cool. I said, where's it at? And she gave me the address, 123 Main Street, whatever it was. And I've told the story a few times. So I get dressed up, and I'm dressed like I'm going to sell $1 billion house.
Sharp,
Yeah. I mean, listen, we dressed, but I was dressed. That day I was dressed. So, yeah, I'm telling you, right? So I'm dressed up, and I'm showing like $150,000. It was a $200,000 house. But I'm dressed like I'm going to show $1 billion home, and I get out there, and I'm nervous. And I don't know why I'm nervous, because I started selling at age 8, and I've sold everything under the sun. Yeah. I did the whole. I got my Series 7 license. I did all of that too. Like it's just not my thing, right? But so I was nervous, and I couldn't figure out why. But it was something new, and that's just how I felt. So I go out to the house, and I have Katie on the phone the whole time. I'm shaking, and she's like, "All right, you ready?" I'm like, "Yeah." "What do I do?" She's like, "Go unlock the lockbox." I'm like, "What's a lockbox?" And she's like, "That's the little thing where the key's at." I'm like, "Oh, I thought somebody was going to meet me there to give me the key. Weren't you going to be there?" And she's like, "No, you're fine. Just trust me." And she's talking me off the ledge, right? So I go to the front door. She gives me the combination to the lockbox, and I open up the lockbox. Now what, Katie? I'm on the phone with her. Open the door. Okay, the client's going to be here in like 30 minutes. I got to hurry up, right? So she's like, "Just open the door and do your thing." I said, "Okay, I'll call you back in a few minutes once I open the door." I unlocked the door, fumbled around a little bit. I opened the door. Whew. Now what? Katie, all right, I got the door open. What do I do? Just turn the lights on. And this is where it hit home for me, right? So I said, "Well, what are the rules when these people come?" And she's like, "There are no rules. Just be your normal, charming self. You know, when we met, you won me over. Be your normal, charming self and just do your thing. There are no rules. You don't have to show the kitchen first and the bathroom and all of this stuff that I thought was part of the, these I don't say these realtors, but as a realtor, we're professionals, right? We have to do these things. And that's what I thought. And we are professionals, don't get me wrong. We need to know our business, but there are no rules in that sense. Our jobs are to convey the clients whatever their interest, their intent is. That's what we have to do, right? So we have to represent our clients, and we make decisions on their behalf. We're not here to, I'm not selling this house. And I thought about that. I'm just there to open the doors and show them the home. And if it's something that they're interested in, then we have to be able to convey that to the other parties. So I opened the door, got the lights on, still nervous as heck. 2 clients walk up with a little baby, and they're more nervous. They're more nervous. And to me, when they walked up and they're like, "Hello, sir, and I'm not going to mention their names because they are clients of mine."
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they didn't know it was the first house that I was selling. I'm actually tear up, right? So,
wow.
But they came over and like, "Hello, sir, we're here to buy a house." And they had this beautiful little baby, and I saw the baby. I started talking to the baby and playing with the baby, and because they put me in that position, we talked about this earlier, because they put me in that position of authority and they put their trust in me, how am I going to let them down?
Wow.
I can't do that, right? So I opened the doors, showed them around, talked to them. I was more interested in the baby and them, which is probably what's most important, right? So all the other stuff is secondary. You know, it's all about relationships in this business, and the house selling comes later. I mean, if they want to buy the house, they're going to buy. If they trust you, they're going to buy from you. And that's all down the line. So, long story short, I take them through the house, and they love the house. And they look at me and say, "We want to buy this house." First showing. And then I'm like, "Okay." And I get nervous again. I'm like, and I tell them this. I'm like, "Okay, I'll tell you what. You guys go home. I'll call you in a few minutes." And I call Katie up. I'm like, "All right, listen. They want to buy the house. What do I do?" She gave me a couple of phone numbers. She said they have to get pre-approved. She's like, "Here's some lenders' names and numbers. Pass them on, and let them know to call them." So I called the first lender, and he didn't answer the phone for whatever reason. I called the second one, and he did answer the phone. And I said, "Well, I have somebody who wants to buy a house. Can I pass her information along?" And they did, and they contacted each other. They got the pre-approval letter. We submitted the offer and got the offer accepted. The day of settlement was the day that my license came in. So I'm literally sitting at the settlement table. I was licensed. I had a license number.
Of course.
But it hadn't gotten back.
But it had
right?
From Harrisburg.
Exactly. So I'm at the settlement table, and Katie's sitting next to me, and I'm nervous because it's my first settlement, and nobody would ever know it, right? Because we don't show that because I'm still dressed like, right? So Katie looks at me, she's like, "Hey, by the way, here's your license." So I'm at the settlement table. They're signing docs, and I'm signing my license. And that was the first of probably 8 or 9 homes that I sold. The first year I started, that was in the spring months, right? Maybe March, April. So I finished off that year. So that year sold 8 or 9 homes which was great. And second year, probably tripled that. Third year, probably.
What was the giant? Was there a shift in how you viewed things? When you're sitting there, you're signing off on your license.
Yeah.
You're also having your first closing.
Yeah.
Because 90% of realtors are not in the business within the first 18 months, right? They're doing less than a couple transactions a year. It's not something that, unfortunately, they're able to break through mentally or financially. Was there a shift that happened in you in that moment, or did it happen over the next few months?
No, I think it probably happened at that moment, and I'll tell you why. No, well, it was about an hour afterwards when I dropped off the paperwork and I was handed a check. Okay, so I'm handed a check, my commission check, and I don't remember what it was, but all I know is, I came from a world that I gave up my life and had part-time jobs to help supplement this tanning business that I thought was going to be so successful, and it was. But there was a lot of sacrifice, and there was a big investment, and I gave up a lot. And went to school and did all this other stuff, and I got my real estate license, spent 60 hours, and showed one house, and this isn't the norm, obviously, but I showed one house, and I looked, and I'm like, I got this check, and that's enough to pay for my annual dues. That's enough to pay for. There's no fees with every home or anything like that, but there was enough to pay for everything. I'm like, wow, I'm in the green, and we're 3 minutes into the game, so I hit the ground running. I'm like, this is great.
Like you're already profitable.
So exactly. So I'm turning a profit
from a business standpoint.
From a business standpoint.
Blown away.
Exactly. And the rest of the year was bonus at that point in my head, right? So, but it's funny. So like I said, I still had the tanning business up until probably my third year in, and I was, putting up a decent amount of numbers. I was still working 40 hours a week in the tanning business, and you just have to learn how to budget time.
How were you? Yeah. So when it came to that, you have your business that you're still not, in the sense, liquid out of it.
Yep.
For that first 36 months.
Sure.
You did about 8-9 serious transactions that first year. The second year, you're triple. Now you're already into the point where you're a top producer.
I wouldn't say that, but there's some. Listen, you just interviewed Mike McCann last week. That's a top producer, okay? Well, Sky Michaels, there's some heavy hitters that you're. But
compared to 15,000 realtors, right? Like that are in the in the area. There's like thousands. When you get to the point where you're doing 20, 30, you're helping 20 or 30 people buy or sell homes a year in your third year, which is very successful at the time. You're at the point where this could be a full-time gig. Most people say, hey, let me get my admin, let me go full-time, and because they got all these things juggling around.
Sure.
You do remind, this is actually reminiscent of Mike, who was a full-time waiter actually in Center City the first year. Yeah. And then by year 2 was like finally stopped that. So how the heck do you guys juggle? Because there's something in there. It's in here, where is it? Yeah. How did you juggle this business and real estate? Was it your time block? Was it that you just didn't sleep? What was your...
the first time we met, you went and you said, what time's a good time to meet? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm in the office at 5 a.m., right? So you can come whenever you want. And today you said, I'm on my way. And I'm like, well, I've been here for 2 hours already. So that's part of it. We do work hard. I'm up early.
You go to bed early?
I'm pretty regimented. I'm usually up at like 5:30. I try to get to the gym on a good day and do a little spinning or something to get the blood flowing. I'm in the office by usually 6 o'clock. And I run, 6 a.m. And I run till, whenever my clients need. So if you're working and you're a server and you don't get off your shift till 2 in the morning, I'm going to answer your call 2 in the morning. I will never, and I always joke around, the phone's always on, so give me a call on all my posts. But that's the reality of it. You have to. There's obviously, you have to balance out family life with professional life. That is tough, and I learned from that. I'll tell you that in a second. Talk about that in a second, but. You have to be available for your clients. But my typical day, I'm usually here by 6, and I get my paperwork done. I'm running by 8:30, 9 a.m., doing whatever, showing houses, doing whatever. And I end my day sometime around 7 or so. I'll head home, have some dinner. A lot of times I have to go back out and do some more work. But
and this is Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday?
It's a 7-day-a-week thing. But, again, I come from a world that I was working a 40 or 50 hour a week job with the salon, right? And I was doing that, and I was still selling 30, 40 houses a year. It was a lot, but something has to. There's something that has to compromise.
There was a
right?
point where that had a shift.
Yeah.
When did that hit you hard?
Well, it hit me by probably my third year in business, and I'm like, well, first of all, I'm looking at the money that I'm making from one versus the other, and I see this is on the decline. This is clearly on the incline. So, I mean, rather than
the tanning industry was
Willie from Death of a Salesman, you don't want to ride that until So I just cut my losses and sold. I don't even say cut my losses. It was a very profitable business. Sold off everything, and I started full time with the real estate. But at that point, I just gave up I had 40 hours free a week.
Wow.
So I went into it with, even though I was busy and the numbers were like, they were staggering at that point, I had 40 extra hours a week. So I'm like, and the reason I did that was, I need to dedicate time to family, obviously. That's more important than anything. And that was what was starting to, I don't want to say it was affected, but when I get home at 9 o'clock at night and the kids are asleep every night, it gets old pretty quick, right? So, and because I was at the salon every day till 4 o'clock, and I only showed houses from 4 to 9.
4 to 9 p.m.
4 to 9 p.m. and then back to the office or back to my
5, 6 a.m.
Yeah,
you were sleeping barely at all.
Yeah, so I wasn't.
You did that for 3 years.
I did that for 3 or 4 years. But again, this is not like the pity party. I was doing it because it was
like Have you always been able to function? Because you were functioning with very little sleep. Yeah. Has that always been a kind of in your genes?
I don't think we need. I for me personally, if I slept more than, listen, you're not a sleeper. I mean, really, are you? I don't know. I just feel like if I sleep more than 6 hours,
it's interesting because when I do sleep more than 6 hours, I feel groggy.
Right. Do the math. Like I don't want to sleep a quarter of my life away. That's crazy.
So you think about 6 hours is what you get.
6 is a good. Yeah.
I had a mentor in Tribeca. He only needed 4 hours. He got tested. And like everyone is different at the end of the day. We don't know enough about sleep and the brain and all of that stuff, but sleep is obviously important.
It's important.
If you need 6 and you get 3, over time you might pass out driving. True. So it's just interesting. So you sleep about 6 hours.
About 6 hours.
Overall, though, there's a certain level of like grit or stick to it of this.
Yeah.
And learning from very successful people, I think, is someone that is enjoying what they're doing. That is doing it at the highest level of that hierarchy and somehow figures out how to do the family at the same time, right? And it seems as though you have a pretty good grapple on it. A lot of the other guys, you mentioned Mike, like Scott, like they figure out how to do it. Yeah. So where do you believe that came from, that character set, right? It's like,
it's probably, for me at least, because I was, like I told you, I gave up everything to open my first business. In the back of my mind, and my wife, I joke around with my wife all the time, and thankfully we're doing really well now, but every once in a while I'll ask her, I'm like, if I needed you to go back to work, like a part-time job and do something because we couldn't afford to pay the bills, would you do that? And she's like, I'll do whatever it takes to run this family. Absolutely. And that's me in the back of my mind, the 23-year-old that opened up his first business, that gave up everything in order to do so. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. That's what keeps me going. So if we will have an adjustment in this market, whether it's a year from now or 5 years from now. I haven't seen it. I've only seen the good in real estate, but that fear keeps me going because I know that I have 4 mouths to feed at home, well, 5 mouths, including my wife and myself now, right? So I can't let them down. So that's what drives me every day. Yeah, I mean, how could you, right? As a father, that's. I mean, you're not a dad yet. When you are, if and when you're blessed with that, it's something that we have to do. I mean, that's just So there's no, I don't know. I don't have that luxury.
That's powerful.
And we've been through. Everybody's been, not to go through life story, but I've battled with depression many moons ago, and that will never happen again. And that gave me the strength to. I don't have the luxury to be depressed. I don't have the luxury to sleep in. I don't have that luxury to just, bum around and play games. I can't do that. I have to keep pushing for my family because that's what I signed up for. And as a dad and as a husband, that's why I'm here.
How old is your oldest?
11.
11. It's a boy?
Boy.
So 11, this is before the real estate market. This is you have your tanning business at the time. Yeah. What was it? Did you see yourself being a father at that time of your life?
When? I'm sorry. Tell me again.
12 years ago. I mean,
prior to having children, did I see that I was going to?
Yeah, did it just like, whoa.
I love kids. I love kids. I really do. So I always wanted to be a dad. Did I think I was going to have 4? you got to talk to my wife about that one. I didn't expect all that. We had 4 before we realized what the heck we were getting into, I think. And if it was up to my wife, we'd probably have another 4. She's an amazing, amazing woman and an amazing mom. I mean, you met my wife before, but she's just, she keeps the house intact, man. And that's what you need. You really need that support.
Wow.
Right? So, I come home and the kids are taken care of. They're washed. The house is spotless. There's a cooked meal every night. My pajamas are waiting for me when I walk through the door, like things that I could never imagine. So to me, if they're doing that for me, how could I not provide for them?
That's powerful.
And
nowadays, a lot of people, it seems like they could use help figuring that out. Yeah. Like, what are some of the... How do you communicate with your wife to keep that alignment? Because that seems like a rarity. I mean, you're not... It's not like you guys met on Tinder.
Tony Soprano said it best.
Yeah,
okay. I think he was talking to his daughter, Meadow, at the time.
Teach me your ways.
Yeah, right.
Master.
Yeah. So I think he was talking to his daughter, and he's like, listen, in this house, I don't know what the year was, but I tell my kids all the time, outside of this house, it might be 2018, it's 1947 in this house. And what I mean by that is we really have, we're a little bit different than, I think, the norm. So my wife comes from a corporate background, and, prior to having all 4 of our children, she was working, and at one point we had to call it quits, and she had to stay home and raise the kids, right? So she's taking care of the house. I provide financially, and together we've raised our children, and I think that's key for us. And like I said, we've talked about this before she left her corporate job, and before we got hit with a $2,000 a month insurance payment that we weren't having to pay in the past. But we've rolled the dice in the past. She was with me when I first opened my salon. We were engaged at the time, and she was helping me build out my first business, and she supported me when I said, I'm going to close up and I'm going to do this real estate thing full time. She supports me 150% with everything I do. And that's so important.
So having both parties on the same page, you see it's almost as if it's a business. In a sense, just like your business partnership.
Yeah.
And how you guys communicate consistently, like what your goals are with the family, how you're going to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, we are planners, and to say it's a business, I mean, I don't want to say, it sounds a little, to me, when you say business, I feel like that's a little cold. I love my wife dearly and my children dearly.
We're talking culture matters. I want to hug the employees.
Right.
It's a very positive business.
Yeah, right. So,
so you're planning your kids' future.
But we do, yeah. I mean,
and your familial alignment and the future of your family. Yeah. So 11, what are the ages? It's 11.
Now you're going to test me, right?
I
call my wife. I don't know. So Pietro's 11, Caterina's 9, Fiorella is 8, and Donato is 5.
Sounds good. No one will know if it's we're wrong.
Don't ask me birth dates and stuff like that. It gets a little crazy every once in a while.
You went to college.
I did.
Were you naturally astute, or you made that happen? Like you got your work done because it was part of the work ethic to get to the.
So I don't want to talk your ear off, but I'll give you another story.
I would love, yeah.
Okay. So, no, I was not. Okay. And I never did. I didn't like to work. I did only what was needed to get done. I was never...
In the academic.
Yeah.
You're a doer.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I think that was up until my junior year of college when I really said, you know what? I got to get this. And let me rewind and I'll tell you a quick story and then I can go back to that. So I was in 5th grade. And I'm getting, C's, D's, B's. Nothing great. Every once in a while I get an A. But more times than not, I'd come home. My mom was like, or my father was like, what do you have for homework? I'm like, I don't know. Start calling people to try to figure out what homework was. And then, I come back home the next day and I have a test. I forgot about this test and I didn't do well. What do you mean you forgot about it? Did you write it down? Yeah, I forgot. What are you doing in school, right? So I think my mother thought that, there was, and there probably is, but there was some maybe ADD going, ADHD or something. But at the time, they just said there's a problem with Mark. So one of my teachers at that time met with my mother and felt that there was a problem with Mark because the grades weren't there. I was in space half the time.
Yeah.
So they decided to, and I went to Catholic school for most of, for elementary school at least, right? So they had in Catholic school, if anybody's ever been to Catholic school, they have this Reed's trailer. And the Reed's trailer is a place that they would send you to, for help. I mean, it's really what it was. But when you would walk out there, people kind of look at you like you're strange, right? Oh, he needs help, right?
Yeah.
So they sent me out there to go meet with someone. I didn't know what was going on. All I know is my mother said that you got to straighten up because the grades aren't right. You're not paying attention to what's going on. and your teacher thinks that there's a problem with you. So I'm like, oh God, they're going to throw me out of school. Something's happening here. So I go there, and I'm very serious about this Reed's trailer thing, and I go out there, and this lady's asking me all these crazy questions, and I'm answering the questions, and more questions, and this was like a 3 or 4 day process for about an hour. And lots of questions, and just like academic questions, right? So if we had 3 of these and 2 of these, and but for me, it was a puzzle, and I love puzzles. So I'm trying to figure these things out. And I'm trying to figure her out. Why are you asking me these questions? So I'm like, I'm answering her questions with questions, and we're just going back and forth. But it was very engaging for me. I really enjoyed it. So my mother says, all right, I got to go meet with the Reed specialist now. And I'm like, this was like a Saturday afternoon. I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm like, there's going to be a problem. They're going to throw me out of school. And my mother comes in the house. I can't believe you. And she's yelling and screaming, and I'm like, what? Am I dumb? What's wrong? She's like, so they administered an IQ test for you.
I knew this was coming.
Right, which I didn't know about. And let me show you this scale. You see what 100 to 125 means? That means you're normal. Where do we expect you to be below that 100? Because you're not doing your job. Do you know where you fell? Yeah. See that 145 to 155? They call that superior percentile. That's what you are, and you're not doing your job. So she was pissed that I wasn't doing my job. I was happy that I wasn't dumb, as we called it back then.
Should have been moved up a grade.
Right.
Or
so,
2 even.
So I wasn't challenged at that point. So to answer your question, no, I just did what was necessary to get by, and it wasn't until my junior year of college at Fox School of Business and at Temple that I messed around my first couple of years. I was president of my fraternity, president of the interfraternal council. I was like the guy from Revenge of the Nerds, that sat in front of the, but that's all I cared about.
It's
I was drinking, partying.
That test changed your belief system.
Yeah.
See, I obviously wanted to listen. I want to listen intently. You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah. You had said something early in our conversation, which we hadn't had this one before, about when you own the tanning salon, and you were able to step back and say that this might be going down. You were able to visualize and work backwards in your mind. Yeah. That is a character trait of an engineer type. Yeah. And based on that test, that's the general amalgamation of average consciousness, in respect to the IQ, or these are all correlates, right?
Yeah.
But that point
Who knew? I didn't know. At least then I didn't know, right?
Literally, this story is so powerful because I was like, when you were in school and you weren't thinking and you weren't paying attention and you were on the clouds,
space.
That's called imagination.
Yeah.
That's called this is boring. Your mind is it's doing what it's supposed to do. And there's so many children that get pushed back or get labeled as some form of attention deficit.
We love labels in today's society.
Huge misnomer.
Agreed.
Thank God they gave you that test.
Yeah.
And most of my either clients or really colleagues, best friends, they're extremely intelligent and they don't know that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Especially if you try some of the highest people of success in this real estate business that I've interviewed, big correlate, really, really abstract individuals.
Really?
Yeah, they just didn't know that they were so damn smart. They could have been engineers. Yeah. It's really powerful. And ever since we met, I was like, well, because I was a very angry child growing up. Took all of my personal frustration of my personal life out on the other kids. So I was held back for bullying. Oh. And then later, put into gifted and talented classes, and then just not showed up. And never finished formal education. So I was the exact opposite. They kicked me out for being an angry little man. And I was angry most of my life before. Culture matters kind of helped me get together. But God, that story, I am selfishly taking this story right now for me. That inspired me, Mark. Yes, because you are very, very intelligent, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's good stuff.
And that's beyond a test because there's a piece of that puzzle called openness, which is a character trait, is the most important variable of genius. Yeah. Openness. You're an open guy.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So, but that was it. So I kind of messed around. I still didn't get serious until, like I said, I was in 11th grade and I met with my financial advisor, or not my advisor, and I just said, okay, well, how many more classes do I need to graduate on time? She's like, well, you're not going to graduate on time. Huh. I'm like, no, I have to. I said, but do you know my father? Like he's Italian off the boat. My mother, don't kill me if I'm not graduating on time. at that time, my GPA was like a 2.3. I was just kind of skating by, dropping classes, worried about partying. And when she said, the only way that you're going to graduate on time, son, is if you take, you overload your classes and take, X amount of classes this semester, take classes in between each semester, take classes in the summer, and continue. So it was like this crazy workload that I had to do, but I had to do it. Well, sure enough, when I got serious in my head that I had to finish on time, because if not, there were, I'd have to deal with people at home, I did. And that at that point, I was in my core, actual capstone courses and whatever else in marketing. I ended up finishing with like a 3.9 in marketing.
Wow.
So, and that was the important stuff. And that's, it was great. So, I buckled down. It took me a while to see that. And
what's the biggest lesson that you kind of took away from school? So it's not like you did get it together. You really started paying attention. So many people don't.
Yeah.
Any big lesson that you've translated to be as successful you have now, these years later, in real estate, which you had, especially the marketing side?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess in hindsight, if I could pay attention a little bit more and put a little bit more into it, it's tough, because nowadays education is so ridiculously important. But I'm very torn because there's, depending upon which route you go nowadays, you have to have a college degree to do pretty much anything. But look at yourself. I don't think you're college educated, right? And you're clearly doing very well.
All I did was buy all the books,
right?
And I didn't.
And you didn't have a $200,000 debt on your hands, or whatever the case may be, right? So I'm very torn when it comes to formal education, but it's.
Well, yeah, that was bringing me to my question about. I want to ask in a second about your kids, what you see of their future. But was there anything in particular that you, like mindset shift or any specific knowledge that you think brought you to be as successful as you have been in marketing and business?
Sad to say, it was more my childhood.
Okay.
That pushed me to be more successful, in business and to be to drive me. So I did what I had to do. If I had to do it all over again, I would get my degree.
Do you think it helped for your network, for your I guess you could say rite of passage or confidence to go into the business world after you went to school for marketing?
No, I think, and again, and I don't want to knock college, because college is clearly important, but I'll tell you, there's nothing more frustrating than busting your butt for 4 years, and you go to get a job as a bank teller making $35,000 a year, and they shoot you down. Then you go to the next place. I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe if I get my life accident and health license and my Series 6 and 60 and my Series 7, if I do that and I get that done, maybe I'll get a job. And then you sit down at behind a desk at American Express Financial, and you say, well, this isn't for me either. And then you go somewhere else. You really define yourself.
Wow.
And I feel that that the kids are, it's tough because at age 3 they're in school and it's all about education, which is so important.
Yeah.
But when you're flooded with all of this information, it's hard to understand who you really are. And I think only experience will do that. How many people have these career changes, right? And, at age 40,
well, how
50.
good does the system do? How good does it really do of tying why we need it with what we're learning? Not so good.
Mm-mm.
Right? We're not really sure.
My geology class in college. Am I ever going to use that? No, I'm not going to use that. And then, it wasn't important. Yeah, I guess it's important. It teaches discipline. I'm a more rounded individual, I guess, from that standpoint. But there's a lot of time and money wasted on those things. So,
what do you see as you have 4 children? They're getting on those years. Where are these discussions starting now? Like, things are going quickly, right?
Yeah.
Do you see them going to school, or do you see them doing online university? Do you see them?
I think I do see formal education with all of them. I would probably insist on it. I think it is important that they have that. Okay, it's something to always fall back on if things aren't so good, right? Because I think even myself, I don't know what the future's going to bring. We had talked about that. If I have to go back and sit behind a desk and do marketing research, I'll do it. So I think from that standpoint, it's important. But we talk about education, and we're so pro-education with the family. What do I see them doing? I mean, it's funny that you mentioned about signs of an engineer. My son Pietro is me. Okay.
I'll go. All right.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to tear up now. So he is me to the T. He's in school. He's not as focused as he should be.
Yeah.
He gets decent grades. But aside from being just the most kind person that anyone could ever ask for, he's just such a great person. I feel like, I see myself in him, and I talk to him about what he wants to do, and he has his like Meccano robots that he builds, and he does these things that I could never do. Unlike myself, he's extremely handy. He can do all these crazy things. And when I talked to him about what he wants to do, he wants to be an engineer.
That's so
and
cool.
That's exactly what you had said. So that's yeah.
Well, have they tested? Have you put them through a test? Might be something worth doing, because the belief, right? Like when I grew up, my mother was like, she always had books in her.
I feel like you're Oprah, man. You got me crying. I'm sorry.
You got to watch me cry the other day.
Right?
So we're even now.
Yeah.
You're a great father, Mark.
Thanks.
Like, I never met my father.
Yeah.
And you say all the right things and you're doing all the right things. Like, that is right. You know, like, it's good, man. This is inspiring. She was in her 50s, right? She's reading books all the time. They're not academic books. They're like romance novels. Okay, but so her financial situation.
Hence the creepiness. No, I'm kidding. I had to. Sorry,
No, it's all good. Have you seen Barbara on my Facebook? We've done some videos together. We're doing more soon. But this is we model our parents. It's like Jean Piaget wrote all of early developmental child psychology. He said we model our parents. It's genes and environment. It's like you could have the predispositioned ability to abstract or think, like that high IQ. But maybe your parents, they say, they don't read, for example, or they don't model like kindness. Yeah. The likelihood of you having those traits is going to be lower. Like that's what the test. So she's reading these books. One thing that she gave me was that made me want to be a little bit more astute in the sense of read. Right, I want to model her because I care about her. And she was always like, "You're smart," but she was like, "It's just fun. Don't even worry about school. You'll figure it out."
Something to be said.
But it was the confidence in the sense of my ability to think was there.
Yeah.
Other confidences were not. Like other insecurities definitely held back my internal power for a long time until the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring that up is, your son sees you kick ass and take names. Yeah. And the likelihood that he's got part of that brain is really high, and he's saying all that. That's a beautiful thing. And the most gifted kids, there's a good book. It's called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay.
Check it out.
I will.
It's like the most gifted children aren't actually fit for this education system. Okay? The education system does not necessarily propel creativity. Sure. It propels conscientiousness.
Sure.
And some of the most gifted minds are creative minds that need a little bit of... So it's just something to think about. Like, I was left back. I was pushed back. And why I started speaking in high schools philanthropically was just to get the kids to think, hey, guys, you can do this. Because if I were to have a regret, it was that I didn't go to Yale or something.
Right.
For something. Like, not until 20 did I really start picking up the books.
Sure.
So,
yeah. But it's so interesting to see, right? So with my 4 children, and I say Pietro is very much like me, and my Katerina is probably going to be a nurse. I can tell you what, I'd love to put it down and see what, and fast forward 15, 20 years from now and see what happens. But, some of them really do. Like my Fiorella, my youngest daughter, is, so highly intelligent. And when it comes to just formal education, she clearly excels. So, and Donato, he'll probably be the most successful out of everyone because he just doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit. He's really, so if you put them into, and I hate to put them into categories because the society will already do that, right? And put labels on them. But I at one point will write down where I expect to see them, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's great.
So now, real estate. Yeah. 6 years you've been in the business.
Yes. 5 years.
5 years. Not even 6 yet. Not even 6. What is the business like now versus when you first started that first year? For you personally, business-wise?
Well, when I first started, it was myself working at every home and juggling jobs and doing all the other stuff and just trying to get my name out there in the business, right? And I did well, and thankfully I came in at the right time. We talked about that. The numbers did increase.
Yeah.
And, just last year we opened up this office here that you're at in Newtown, and I brought on my business partner Volkan, who is just an amazing person. He's just an amazing person.
He's like
so highly educated.
Yin to your yang.
Yeah, when I tell you, we're polar opposites. We talked about that. Yeah, I'm nuts. You can see that. I can't even sit still for 2 minutes. I'm ready to jump up and, So, but he's the exact opposite. Highly educated, he'll never tell you, but he is, He's a veterinarian.
Wow.
He has an MBA from Columbia.
Interesting.
Came from Turkey, and he has an accent. He stutters, and I don't know if I should be talking about this type of stuff, but my point is he overcame all of that and is extremely successful in this business.
We should talk about
so, and at one point we might have to grab him and ask him to come in. Maybe we'll do this again another time and bring him in. But so he can talk about that. Or
it sounds
but my
amazing.
point is, if and he always says when we're in our recruiting efforts, he's like, if I can do this, he's like, listen, I'm from Turkey. I came here. I have nothing. I stutter. I have all these things going against me. And he's extremely successful.
Wow.
The only difference is I'm louder than he is, but he's equally as successful as I am. So I brought him on.
When did you guys meet? Yeah.
We met at Every Home. He was one of the original. So Every Home at this point has about 100 agents, I think, and he came on board in the very beginning.
I think you helped over 100 families. It was like quite a few families buy and sell homes.
We do about 100 transactions a year at this office. Between myself and Volkan and our other people. So we're doing really well, thank God.
Stalin had parents. Maybe if they bought their home with you, they would have been nicer to their kid.
How many times have you used that one? You're so crazy. I love it.
You helped 100 parents not be parents to dictators. That's how I look at it.
That's a different way to look at it.
That's
pretty cool.
That's
the way you would look at it.
Your own church.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh gosh, and that's where we met at church.
Right? That's how you met.
Yeah.
So 100 every home. You have this. I guess you would, in a sense, you would call it a satellite location or a cultural ambassador to Every Home.
Yeah.
It's you and Volkan working together with 8 or 9 agents. What's the vision? What's the future for what you're doing here? You're kicking butt and taking names. You're blowing it up.
I love what we're doing right now. I don't know that I would change anything. I'm so content. When I tell you, and content, I'll always want to grow. Professionally, you always want to grow. But
happy, is it the word happy?
I'm so happy. And I mean that. I'm so happy professionally, my family. I'm so blessed. I can't even tell you. I'm so happy. I don't know that I would change anything. We do want to grow.
Wow.
I don't know if we want to grow in numbers. This is kind of our niche, right? So we're not the big box company. We don't want to be, and I don't think Every Home wants to be, right? That's not. I don't think that's what we're going for. But at least in this satellite office, I don't know that I would want more than 15 or 20 agents to work out of here.
So you are hiring.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But again, I don't want to have 150 agents that I'm not in contact with daily. I talk to our people all the time. I think
so you want to
they
keep
call
it close?
me. Yeah, it's got to be intimate. And that's how we're going to succeed.
Happy Marines.
Yeah.
Every home should meet the Happy Marines. I'm just kidding. So there's got to be agents watching this or people that want to get into real estate. They're thinking,
call me.
Yeah, I want this guy. That sounds like a good real estate life, which it is. I know personally, I watch things. You're doing fantastic. Thanks. So what does someone watching this need to know? They're just getting in the business, right? That first month.
Yeah.
What are some of the skill sets that they need? Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
So there's actionable tips, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the skill sets that a real estate agent needs?
Well, here's the thing. You heard my...
You're only in the 6 years. You're kicking butt.
Yeah. But again, is this the norm? Maybe for some people, not for everyone. And I don't want to give an unreal. It's tough. Business is hard. It's not something that you're going to come in and make $1 billion your first year. It's just not realistic. But with hard work, anything can be done, right? I think we were pretty clear on that. So let me give you an example. I'll use Dane. Dane is one of our agents. Dane used to tan at one of my salons.
All right.
Dane happened to meet up with me at. And I don't know if you saw my Facebook video, my live video, but we were at my son Pietro's science fair. He was at the science fair, and Dane walks up to me. He's like, Mark Gatta. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, shit, I sold this guy a house. I'm thinking, what the hell? Who is this guy? I don't know who he is. I'm going through my Rolodex in my head. I'm usually pretty good. Yeah. Maybe not with names, but with faces and scenarios, right? So I'm like, who the heck is this guy? It's me, Dane Lano. I still have no idea who he is. And hello, how are you? I'm not going to be rude. Me and my wife, Jean, and he's introducing me to his wife, and she's looking at him like he's kind of crazy. I don't think she knew who I was. I didn't know who he was. And he was a customer at my salon many, many moons ago. He was tanning for his wedding, I think. And we started talking about real estate. And we, he said he was considering getting his license. I think at that point he had signed up for classes at one point and stopped. and I told him, and we just had just a heart-to-heart story, and I explained to him what happened with me, and that it could happen for anyone. And he did get his license, and he did sell his first house within a month, and he's off to the races. Now, I mean, is he selling 50 houses a year? No, but he is at this point, working. He has another career, and he's doing this in conjunction with that. All I will say is, and I tell people this all the time, the biggest problem and the biggest mistake people make when they try to run their own business. Everybody wants to be the boss. Yeah. Everybody wants the big desk, the mahogany desk, and the flat screen, this, that, and the other thing. And they want all of these things and the bar in the office. Grow into it. You don't need, Rome wasn't, but it's something that I think if you want to do it, there's, virtually no cost involved. I even tell my agents, I'll pay for your schooling. And we'll worry about it when you get your first house sold. And that goes for anybody that's out there that's considering it. Talk to me about it, because I really, if you're motivated and you have that drive and you have what I have.
Yeah, what are you looking for?
You need the energy. And not energy from a standpoint of my kind of nutty energy, but you have to have that work ethic. It's a numbers game. You keep throwing crap against the wall, something's bound to stick eventually, right? So you have to get out there and put yourself out there and show homes and market and advertise verbally. You have to let people know that you're a realtor, and you have to put yourself out there.
You're very active on Facebook.
I love Facebook.
And you do a lot of business.
30 houses from Facebook last year.
Right? Or last year.
This past year.
If an agent comes to you and says, I'm not interested in social media, is that a problem with it?
It's not a problem for me in the sense that, because I'm actually hopefully bringing someone on board now who's an older gentleman who just doesn't even have a computer. He's going to handwrite his offers. Everyone does their thing. Do I think they're doing themselves a disservice by not being involved with social media? Without question.
Okay.
How did we meet? Social media.
Yeah.
I found you, and
I
you found me.
No friends.
Right. Actually, we met at Joe Bograd's party, but that's a whole different story.
Which I met through someone on social media.
On social media.
Right. Media.
But I saw your face, and you were hitting on me, I think, in that day, which is kind of creepy. We'll talk about that afterwards.
Right after this.
But
gotta fix that.
Yeah, that was nice. Segue into that. Look at that.
People are already asking questions like this. Where's the checks on the selfies?
So no, but social media is so valuable.
Yeah.
And we spend tens of thousands of dollars a year at this office advertising on your Zillows and your Trulias and all these other things. Social media is free. I have an audience of 5,000 people that listen to everything that I do.
On your personal Facebook.
On my personal Facebook.
Yes.
Right? They're going to see this video. They're going to see our. So we have this, and to me, and these are friends, these are past clients, these are agents that I've worked with, these are agents that I haven't worked with, these are people that I don't know, but they were referred by a friend.
Yeah.
So this is my sphere of influence, and if I have 5,000 people that see every little thing that I do, it's good and it's bad, right? So you have to make sure that you're doing the right thing, which I'm a Christian man. I try to do the right thing every day. But that aside, it's really it's free. So why not take advantage of that, right?
Wow.
So and like I was saying, we spend tens of thousands of dollars a year with your Zillows and your Trulias and stuff, and shame on us for doing it, but I think we have to, which might equate to 5 or 6 deals. So from a financial standpoint, the numbers make sense, but it's not the return on investment isn't huge for now.
Well, it's amazing how Zillow gets the data, resells it back to you.
It makes me sick.
The beauty of social media is you can become the Zillow.
Yeah.
Any person working independently on their own.
Yeah.
I can put out value online that is empathetic, educational, and entertaining, because it is thus. Yeah. Build an audience by giving my heart and giving information. Build an audience.
An audience of your choice, too.
An audience of my choice, of your choice.
Yeah.
And we can consistently put value out, because there's so many things like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all that. That is our Zillow. And I think a lot of people aren't waking up to that fact. And you're one of the only dudes that I see that is you're already crushing social media. I think any agent watching this that is interested in leveraging their Facebook and whatnot should definitely contact you. I genuinely mean that, because I teach that for, that's one of the courses on culturematterscourse.com is Facebook 5. It's how I accidentally, I wasn't marketing Facebook, I was a culture coach. Got myself out there with personal Facebook, and you have been doing a lot of what I have put out, taught. Yeah. You've just been doing it, and it's very powerful. Yeah. You're doing 30 deals a year from your personal Facebook.
Yeah. Maybe more at this point. Yeah,
and I think it's going to keep growing, because you're a very well-known name. You have obviously, once a client goes with you, you treat them exactly like you treated that first home. right? You treat every home,
Exactly.
You treat every home.
The best compliment that I've gotten, and I've gotten it numerous times, and you'll see these reviews that people post about you, and I'm blessed with some really nice reviews. But when people tell me that he treated me like I was his only client, he would always answer the phone. He would always, he was always available to me, and that's important. And that's at least what I want to do. Wow. And I think that's true with a lot of these people that you've been interviewing. Some people that are producing and some heavy producers. Nobody ever forgets where you came from. Mike doesn't forget when he was a waiter. He'll never forget that. You call Mike, I'll tell you one thing about Mike McCann, and I hope you're listening, Mike. If I call Mike right now, and I have, I've talked to Mike numerous times.
Heart.
Not even massive heart, which he's an amazing person, but if I pick up the phone to call him about a property because I have a client that's interested, that phone rings, he answers the phone. If it doesn't, he'll text me, call you back in 5, he calls me right back. He gives me an answer immediately on the spot. I don't know how he keeps track of all the crap that he does because it's amazing, but he does.
Really brilliant guy.
He's
that's
highly intelligent. And then you'll have other agents that are just too good for that they won't take certain listings. Listen, we've sold homes anywhere from $50,000 to $5 million and everything in between, and I will treat this $50,000 client the same way as I will the $5 million client. And it's so important because ultimately that $50,000 client will end up being the other.
So I'll tell you, I've interviewed 86 people this last year and almost a half.
Do you sleep?
No, not a kid. And so success, right? That's such an amorphous blob of a word. Right. What you just said, though, of treating people with respect, the higher I go in the sense of the success. No, there is a character type.
Yeah.
It's like the ones that do the best, they have the most people that they care about. Yeah. And they treat them with respect. Yeah. And it's success and love, being loving, I guess you could say. They're not mutually exclusive if you want to keep it over the long term. So it's very powerful, Mark.
And I think that
it's real.
People get into this business for the wrong reason. And most sales positions for the wrong reason, right? People get in, well, you can make a ton of money. Yeah, you can make money. That's without question. But money will come. Service your clients, love your clients, take care of your people. And the money, that's secondary. Because at the end of the day, if I make an extra 50 grand this year or an extra 100 grand this year, is it going to change my lifestyle? No, I'm still ridiculously frugal. I still, I will never live beyond my means. I have chickens so we can get our eggs. My wife spends $80 a month in groceries because she does the extreme couponing. Wow. So, I tell my kids every day, it's not what you make, it's what you keep, right? And that's so important.
You guys are damn good at that.
Yeah, and that's so important. So again, for me, it's not about the money, and I don't want to be that guy like, this is not a philanthropy. I'm here to raise my family and provide. But it's so secondary.
And you're doing 20 times better than the average realtor. I'm just going to brag for you. 20 times better being a good person than the average realtor. I want to leave everyone on this note. How did we meet?
Oh man, that's a good one.
Joe Bograd's party. Shout out to Joe and Loretta.
For being hilarious. Off the phone with Loretta. Yeah, they're great people. So
funny people.
And I don't want to take anything out of context, but I was a little creeped out by this guy. Let me tell you.
You can
wet
tell
my
the
tears.
story.
He got me crying all night.
Yeah.
So all right. So we're sitting at Joe Bograd's party having a couple of drinks, and this guy comes up and he's like, "It might have been this suit that I was wearing. I don't know." But anyway, he looks at me and he's like, "That's a great suit." I'm like, "Thanks. What kind of suit is that?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's a Xenia." "Oh, that's a great suit. Love it." Cool. Just left. Walks away. I'm talking to Volcon. I think that guy's hitting on me over there. See the creepy dude with the hair? I think he's hitting on me. But I look, and his hands are flaring. You're talking like I do. I'm like, he's probably a lot like me. He seems a little outgoing, a little nuts, but that's all right. He's probably just complimenting my suit. I like compliment someone's suit. Then he comes back over. He's like, "Dude, you smell good."
Yeah, this really happened.
Flat
this is real
you
life.
Smell good. What do you... I'm like, listen, I don't even know what I'm wearing. I'm married. I got 4 kids. I don't know that I even told you that, but in my head, I'm going through this stuff, right?
Oh, God, that's what I do to people.
Right. But again, listen, it was very endearing. It was nice. And it was cool. And that was the end of our conversation. So now I'm asking people, who's this guy? And now I noticed that we're friends on Facebook, and I see what you're doing. But at that point, you were just getting started.
Yeah.
So I didn't see you. You were out there, but you didn't have a presence. So I'm just kind of looking. And now I'm stalking you, which is even more creepy. Asking people about you. And that was that. And, fast forward about a month or so later, and I'm at church, And my son was, we're over here at Buck's Church, and my son is doing, it's a preschool pageant, and he's singing, and I got the little video, and I'm videoing him, and I'm like, all right, let me post that on Facebook. It was a cute little video. Kids are singing. It's cute, right? It's church. That's why we're here. It's God, right? So I posted on Facebook, and my wife she's not on social media. And I'm like, Maria, look, there must have been somebody else, one of our friends that was posting. Maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it was Pastor Ken. Somebody else was videoing Donato and his preschool thing. And I look, and I'm like, Jay Doran? So then I was actually creeped out to the point that you complimented me once. You told me I smelled good. And listen, I mean, I'd like to think I'm an attractive guy, but I'm not you, okay? Let's call it what it is.
Thank you. We got a video.
We'll throw you a bone. Anyway, so I'm like, all right, well, now he's complimenting me, and now it's not like we're in this huge church where there are tens of thousands of people. There might have been 25, 30 people there, right? And at that point, I wasn't even a member of that church. I was just kind of visiting. Because my son was there. I'm a member now, but you were visiting, and you were visiting me, apparently, is what I thought. So I called him up on the phone, and I'm like, hey, can we meet, or can we talk, and whatever else? And so we talked on the phone, and we realized that it was just kind of a coincidence. You were mentoring someone that happened to be a member of the church, and that was fantastic. And then we had our first meeting, and you called me up. You want to come by and talk to me?
It was like 6 a.m.?
Yeah, you're like, well, what time works for you? I'm like, well, I'm at the office at 5. You're like, oh, great, I'll be there at 6 for coffee. And you were there at 6 o'clock. Wait, actually, as a matter of fact, I got there late that day. I got there at like 5:30, and you were sitting in the parking lot. We came together and talked for a good 2 or 3 hours.
My favorite talks.
Flew by. Thanks,
yeah, it was like, didn't even need coffee.
Kind of like this.
And now here we are.
Yeah, with no coffee. We got some coffee.
Last question.
Please.
Everything that you've learned, 6 years in real estate, 5 to 7 years in tanning, in college, go back. If you were in your junior year of high school, what advice would you give yourself, knowing everything that you've learned through your experiences and your children, raising and all that?
That's such a loaded question. And not to be that guy, but I would just say don't give up on your dreams. Do what makes you happy. That's so important. It's not about all the other stuff. That all comes. And it's not
Was there a time where you went to the left when you would have wanted to the right then?
Oh, always, without question. I mean, because society wants you to go to the left and you want to go to the right, and that's just the way things, the world pulls you in so many different directions. But stay true to what you are, be yourself, and just stay on the path.
Are you following your dreams now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm living my dream, brother.
This is amazing. Awesome. Thank you for this.
Love you, brother. Awesome.
Yeah, I love you too.
Yeah, all right.